Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks. Yeah, we're going to talk about the transfer portal and some guys out there that I think the Vols should be taking a good hard look at. And also, we're going to talk about some Vols that'll be coming back next year and those that won't be. So let's get right on into it. All right, now one fella we don't have coming back next year, he is going to the NFL, is Byron Young, and he's our best pass rusher and great off the edge, good with the run. I mean, he's just pretty much a pretty key player for us. So he will be in the NFL next year, and I would expect him to go pretty high in the draft. But he is playing in the Orange Bowl, which is that's helpful. But we're going to need to replace that production. Another key player that will be coming back, it appears, next year is Tyler Barron. He'll be in the Orange Bowl, and I did not know that he had entered the transfer portal, and he only stayed in it for one day. I'm sure the coaches went running and they're like, what the crap is going on? What are you doing in the transfer portal? We were one of our key guys. But he said he had a few questions that needed to be answered, and they answered them in a manner that made him happy, I guess. So we're going to be looking for this guy to be a big part of next year's defense, but we do need to replace Byron Young. And look, we've got some great freshmen coming in. I mean, just an all-star cast, but they're freshmen. And that's an issue, especially with the two big dogs that we got coming in. There's actually three. There's Devin Hobbs, who I think is probably going to be more of an interior guy long-term because he is pretty big. But the other two guys are not that big, and that's Chandavian Bradley and Caleb Herring. And they look to me like they need to put about 20 or 30 pounds on and really get strong enough to be able to play in the SEC. And they got the motors, and they're very fast. And they've got all the quick twitch that you got to have to be outstanding in the SEC. But they're only 18 years old. And when you've got a 22-year-old blocking an 18-year-old, I don't care what the talent difference is, the 22-year-old's probably going to win. So it would really be helpful if we brought in somebody who could help us short term. Now, a key guy just entered the transfer portal, and this is Rondell Bothroyd. This guy is a really good player out of Wake Forest. He's had 14 sacks in the last 2 years, 24 and a half tackles for loss, 93 tackles total. So this guy would be a real nice pickup and would put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks for us, which we're going to need, especially this year coming up. Now, I'm sure Rodney Garner would love to have this guy. I think he would be very helpful to us, and I'm sure they'll make a run at him. I mean, look, we've got some needs that we need to fulfill in the transfer portal, and that's one of them. Edge rusher, cornerback. We already picked up a really nice linebacker in Peely out of BYU, which I think was a real good pickup. We need an offensive tackle, possibly a running back. That Marshawn Lloyd out of South Carolina would be a nice pickup. That guy's a beast. And as we look at the transfer portal, a lot of guys have already committed. The Fentrell Cypress, which was a cornerback that I really wish we would have gotten, went to Ohio State. We missed out on Cornelius, the offensive tackle. We had him here. I thought we had a good shot at him. We did pick up a tackle out of Texas, which was a good pickup. I see Devin Larry's gone to Kentucky. That's probably a good move for him. I think he'll play there. We know about Lovett going to Georgia. Here's an interesting candidate, Brennan Armstrong. He's only got 1 year left. He's a senior, a quarterback. He had a great year in 21 and not a good year in 22 when they brought in a new offensive coordinator. But this guy had a phenomenal year in 21, and he might be a possibility this spring depending on, if we have somebody enter the transfer portal out of the quarterback room. Here's Sam Hartman, another quarterback who's got a very high NIL amount, over $750,000. I'm trying to figure out why he would have entered the transfer portal. And I can't figure it out. Because, he's a starter at Wake Forest. He could be the starter again. There's some reason like I said, I'm not sure why.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money!
And here's Rondell Bothroyd. As you can see, he doesn't have a very high NIL money deal. But this would be just a real nice pickup for us. And that would solve a short-term dilemma that we've got. And he's a redshirt junior, so he'd have 2 years to play for us. And this guy would be a real nice rotation piece because realize Rodney Garner is going to be bringing guys in and out of there constantly because the way our defense plays and how quick our offense is. The defense is going to be out there a bunch, so you've got to have fresh legs. The reality is, and I've heard a lot of these defensive linemen talk about this, after 4 plays, that's how long it takes. After 4 plays, these guys on the defensive line, they're exhausted. Because they're going at it 110% those 4 plays, and it may not look that brutal, but playing defensive line is one of the physically toughest things you've got to do. Blocking someone is not near as difficult as far as exertion than to trying to get through and around somebody. It's just much more difficult. So you've got to have a bunch of defensive linemen, and once they lose their energy, you can just watch the offense just run over them. So that's why Rodney Garner's done such a good job of developing a large group of individuals to go out there and just constantly rotate.
Logical.
And here's an offensive tackle that I think would be a nice pickup for us. He's a redshirt junior. He's Gunnar Britton, and he's pretty well thought of. He's out of Western Kentucky. He is not committed anywhere, and I think that would be a real nice pickup for us. And here's a cornerback out of Texas A&M. He was almost a 5-star, a very high 4-star last year. They've still got him as a 4-star out of Texas A&M. And also, we got word out that Omari Thomas is coming back next year, and he's a very key piece. He's one of those big bodies you need in the center of your defense to stop that run and to try to put pressure up the middle on the quarterback. And he does a very good job. As a matter of fact, he had really the key hit in the Kentucky game. When he hit Will Levis, that first time Levis decided he was a running back, and he just knocked the crap out of the dude. I mean, it was brutal. And Will Levis was not the same after that. He looked dazed. He hurt his shoulder. I mean, he just, Thomas just knocked the life out of him. It was brutal, and that's why those big guys like that are so critical. You're not going to run on him. You try to run on Thomas, if he's in your way, you're not getting by him. You can just forget it. And he is coming back next year, so that's good news. And here's Marshawn Lloyd. And I tell you what, this is a guy that people should consider. He is a heck of a runner. He got hurt this year. He had a deep thigh bruise and didn't play the last few games, but he averaged over 5 yards a run. And if you've ever seen him run, he is vicious. He runs very angry and very direct, and you're not going to bring him down with arm tackles, and he will fall forward every time. He's 211 pounds, so he's not huge, but he's only 5'9", and he runs like a rock. All right, folks, and that's just an update on the transfer portal, what's going on, some guys that are going to be staying and those that are leaving. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you haven't subscribed, it's right here on my left. Just hit that button right there, and they'll send you my videos. You won't have to hunt them. It just makes it a lot easier. And there's a video right here on my right that YouTube thinks you'll like. It's based on your viewing habits and all that. So be sure to check that out. And I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.